during last time when President Trump was in White House in
Mm-hmm.
2017-18, in a short period of 2 years, he held three summit meetings with Kim Jong-un, who is still the
Right.
leader of North Korea. And,
Yes.
reports were that at that time, during those conversations, he had even thought of offering concessions to Pyongyang by not just reducing, but even removing American forces from South Korea. So, President Trump coming back to White House again could have been one of those issues where, President Yoon must have thought when President Donald Trump takes over power from 20th January, things could go in a different direction again.
Welcome to the gist on Stat News Global. I'm Ramananda Sengupta. Our very special guest today, Professor Swaran Singh, who teaches international relations at JNU with a special focus on Asia. He's also the president of the Association of South Asian Scholars and was recently in Seoul. Thank you so much for joining us, sir. The special thing, we are going to look at events in South Korea. Sir, let me begin by asking you that post this impeachment of President Yoon Suk Yeol, what does it mean for, let's say, Indo-Korean ties? Because I think that's the primary thing people will be looking at, in the sense that I think President Yoon, his policy was always about closer ties with China. I think he had actually started the intelligence agreement, revived that. Then also closer ties with the US. How are those two likely to get impacted?
Thank you, Ram, first of all, for having me on your podcast today. Yes, this week is apparently week of South Korea being in the news. And I often say that world talks about China's economic miracle. Despite its much smaller size, the miracle of economic transformation in South Korea is equally exciting. And since you asked me about what happens with this uncertain situation, political instability in South Korea to India South Korea relations, I do want to underline that despite being a smaller nation of about 50 to 53 million people, India has a trade now of about 27, $28 billion annually with the South Korea. But that's not all. That's not all. India's major tech industries, Mahindra Tech, TCS, Tata Consultancy, and so on, have had their own presence in South Korea. And you have to look at Indian consumer industry. India is full of products produced by South Korean companies across, particularly consumer sector in India. So India definitely has a very strong economic partnership with South Korea. India has also been a votary of what we call Quad Plus. India has supported the idea that Quad should not become exclusive club of just four nations, Japan, Australia, US, and India. And therefore, South Korea, Japan, New Zealand are called Quad Plus. And India has been in support of having South Korea as part of managing regional stability across Indo-Pacific region. And the last quick point, Ram, is to see that after Taiwan, South Korea is the hub and a major, almost superpower in production of semiconductor chips, which runs much of the modern production across the world. So, economic disruption, political instability in South Korea definitely will have impact way beyond what happens within South Korea. And therefore, definitely will have impact on India-South Korea relations also, which are primarily driven by economic partnerships.
So that's the India part of it. But if you look at South Korea's broader foreign policy objectives, I think one of the main challenges, in fact, I believe the impeachment itself, the motion, has something which says something like, what was the phrase? I think a peculiar Japan-centric foreign policy That's one of the things President was being accused of. So could you just explain what that could mean now if a Liberal Party comes into power?
Sure. For a certain period of time in the early part of 21st century, we had seen South Korean leadership. You would remember initially the focus on sunshine policy of South Korea. Moon Jae-in, for example, had focused on being independent and autonomous in resolving their fundamental problem of North Korea. And sunshine policy, beyond a point, was not very effective, and then it derailed and became, in fact, unpopular. And later, in 2022, President Yoon Suk Yeol came to power on this slogan of making defense of South Korea their own responsibility and talking about South Korea's need to build its own long-range missiles and nuclear weapons. And that is how he came to power. And along with that, he also emphasized a much stronger relationship with the United States. So, for example, the signature initiative of President Yoon has been something called nuclear consultative group meetings, which is where how to fight a nuclear war is regularly deliberated between United States and South Korea. So, in that sense, South Korea's this president was seen, sort of building much closer focus on allies like Japan that you mentioned, and of course United States, and at the same time thinking of building its own nuclear deterrent. But what is happening now is that both these allies are showcasing enormous, if not discomfort or displeasure, at least a certain amount of retreat from that kind of exciting engagement that they had with President Yoon. So the defense minister of Japan, who was supposed to visit end of this month, has postponed his visit. In fact, next week itself, the former prime minister of Japan was supposed to lead a delegation of lawmakers by Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga next week. That has also been cancelled. Similarly, the visit from United States, Lloyd Austin, for example, is supposed to come to South Korea, is postponed. That kind of reluctance of both these major allies, in that sense of South Korea's President Yoon, Japan, and United States, is a reflection that they don't want to be seen appearing endorsing, particularly the way he has imposed and revoked martial law and emergency. Indeed, many of his own party members, People's Power Party members, were showing displeasure. The leader of the party himself, Han Dong-hun, said it's a tragic thing to happen. But of course, he deflected by saying that the people responsible will be brought to the book, will be punished, therefore still shielding President Yoon in the sense. And now more recently, in recent hours, he's been talking about uniting People's Power Party and ensuring that the impeachment doesn't take place. So yes, enormous disruption, and the major allies of President Yoon, both Japan and US, are showcasing caution. We heard Secretary of State of United States, saying that we were not even aware of this kind of initiative likely to happen, which is a strange thing because 30,000 of American troops are in South Korea. And any such decision obviously anticipates that there will be consultation with the United States beforehand. Neither cabinet was consulted. So, a lot of hiccups, a lot of flip-flop things have happened in those 6 hours. Hopefully things are getting stable as we speak now.
So, but, who do you think is now likely to come into, replace him?
Ram, at this stage, I am not the one who will hazard a guess of post Yoon Suk Yeol possibilities. Yes, technically, Prime Minister Han Duck-soo is supposed to take over in case either President Yoon resigns or he's removed through impeachment process. First option of resignation doesn't appear very likely because he's given no such signals unless he does something as surprising as he did with imposition of martial law and emergency. But at this stage, it doesn't look like he's going to resign. Impeachment is a rather complicated process, Ram, at this stage. Yes, the proposal, I have read the proposal that has been submitted to Parliament. And
Mm-hmm.
it talks about fundamentally the problem being of Yoon having gravely and extensively violated constitution and law. And
Mm-hmm.
he has done so according to the proposal for impeachment to evade imminent investigations involving himself and his family members, talking about his wife. Particularly
Mm-hmm.
here, people are talking. There were corruption charges against his wife Kim Hee also. But the minimum thing that we require now is National Assembly has to meet, debate, and vote within 72 hours, which is end
Mm-hmm.
of tomorrow. Whether they'll be able to do that, first of all, let's assume, idly speaking, they're able to do that. Now, if they
Mm-hmm.
vote, they need 200 out of the 300 members to support impeachment.
Okay.
These six opposition parties only have about 192 members. So they will
Oh.
need to make sure that People's Power Party of the president, at least eight of the members should defect and vote in favor of impeachment proposal, which is not easy because, as I said, the leader of the party has already said that People's Power Party stands united behind President Yoon. We will not support impeachment. But reality also is this: that in the heat of the moment, on the night of 4th of December, we saw that, as reports are, 18 members of People's Power Party who were present in that night's emergency meeting of National Assembly, they voted in
Mm-hmm.
favor of this martial law being revoked by the president. So there
Oh.
is still a possibility. Let's assume worst case scenario, impeachment is approved. Then the next more complicated process is that proposal, after being approved, will go to Constitutional Court of Korea, which
Oh.
constitutes of 9 judges, of which 8 must support and endorse and justify that impeachment is to happen, which is
Oh.
not easy thing at all because, first of all, the Constitutional Court gets 6 months to do that. Second, the more complicated issue right now is that the Constitutional Court of Korea, which should have 9 members, in which 6 must vote in favor, it has 4 vacancies. Right now, there are only 5 judges sitting on that Constitutional Court, and electing by National Assembly, 3 are elected, 3 are nominated by the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, 3 are selected by the President. All such selections have to be finally appointed by the President. So, Constitutional Court itself is not in order at this stage. So, whether that will happen or not, we don't know. We would remember that a similar impeachment had been approved by National Assembly in 2004, but it was not acceptable to the Constitutional Court. At that time, Constitutional Court was there, it was working. Today, there is no Constitutional Court incomplete because there are vacancies, as I just mentioned. How and when they will be filled, who will be coming in, and the president has a say in that, he will make sure that Constitutional Court verdict is in his favor. So I'm not at this stage assuming any possibility of
Mm-hmm.
President Yoon going or Prime Minister Han Duck-soo taking over responsibility. Constitution says even in that case, the next president has to be elected by the people, direct election within 6 months. So it's not that the Prime Minister Han Duck-soo will stay in power for a longer period of time. But even that is a pipe dream. I don't think any such thing is happening. This uncertainty will continue. President Yoon will continue to be in office. Investigations have already started against him. The police investigation against him has already started. Apparently, impeachment will open other investigations against him at the parliament level. Let me also, Ram, say this is not new. Since President Yoon took over in middle of 2022, National Assembly, both last and this one together, both was dominated by Democratic Party, of course. This parliament started from this year, May. Before that, also DPP was in majority in parliament. So, in last 2 years of President Yoon, his cabinet members have received 8 impeachment propositions. Right now, the defense minister, reports are saying, who had advised him to impose martial law, and of course, defense minister failed to manage that the National Assembly does not take place. National Assembly still managed to have an emergency meeting despite armed forces being deployed there. And
Hmm.
reports are that the defense minister has resigned now. So there are a series of impeachments that have been happening in last 2 years. Of course, this one is much more serious. This much is against President Yoon himself. So a lot of such chaos have been building over a period of time gradually. And therefore, I
Hmm.
think some of that chaos is going to continue over a period of time. He also tried to deflect attention by saying that he's talking of threat of North Korea, mentioning that some of the members of the Democratic Party are in cohorts with the North Korean communist leader, and therefore they are causing disruption at home.
Oh,
Whole lot of excuses were given by him when he spoke of in terms of why he was imposing martial law, and similarly, a lot of reasons why he was revoking that decision after some time.
hmm,
Fundamentally, there is going to be no clarity very time anytime soon, and this chaos is going to continue for some time. Is my assumption. The first step we have to watch is whether in 72 hours National Assembly is able to vote on impeachment proposal, and what
right.
kind of vote are we seeing?
Oh, okay. But let's just assume that once things stabilize, if this particular government doesn't stay on, do you see ambiguity coming in between, let's say, US South Korea relationships, in the sense that, Trump is likely to be very transactional. He might ask them to pay for their security. And would that lead to, some kind of an ambiguity from the Korean side?
Uh, I agree that election of President Donald Trump for a second term now has created certain amount of ripple impact around the world. Most of not just adversaries but allies also are feeling that uncertainty.
Hmm.
And for President Yoon, who had come to power by building a very strong relationship with United States, with President Biden, last 2 years they have met, I think, about 12 or 13 times.
Hmm.
That was a strong relationship. Is now being relooked upon as to what is going to happen. For example,
Right.
you would remember that during last time when President Trump was in White House in
Hmm.
2017-18, in a short period of 2 years, he held three summit meetings with Kim Jong Un, who is still the
Right.
leader of North Korea. And
Yes.
reports were that at that time during those conversations, he had even thought of offering concessions to Pyongyang by not just reducing but even removing American forces from South Korea, which can create enormous disruption as to how stability is ensured in this region, particularly in
Hmm.
Japan and South Korea, which see North Korea as an adversary for them,
Right.
as a security challenge for them. So, President Trump coming back to White House again could have been one of those issues where, President Yoon must have thought when President Donald Trump takes over power from 20th January, things could go in a different direction again. So whether he
Hmm.
should try to do certain things before that, that could have been one element. But we know now that the visits from United States, both, as I said, a nuclear dialogue and Defense Minister Lloyd Austin's visits have been postponed indefinitely,
Hmm.
which is a reflection of they are trying to keep their hands off from this episode. They must also be unhappy because they invest a lot in terms of prestige and security in South Korea, and they should have assumed America, United States would have expected President Yoon to take them in confidence, and that has not happened, as they are saying now. Blinken has said that we had no idea of this kind of decision taking
Absolutely.
place
Yes.
in Seoul.
Hmm.
So I think yes, it could have impact on bilateral relations between South Korea and United States, which
Hmm.
has which has larger implications as to what then it does to U.S. Japan relationship, what it does to U.S. engagement with the larger Indo-Pacific region, and so on.
Yes,
But
of course.
hopefully things will cool down. I hope so. And
Hmm.
President Yoon has become extremely unpopular. His popularity ratings, the Gallup polls are saying, are as low as 19% now. That partly was perhaps also one reason for him to take such an unexpected decision. But he's decided ultimately to respect the verdict of National Assembly, and National Assembly is now going to vote tomorrow on impeachment motion. My assumption is that it's not 100% sure that it is going to be supported by two-thirds of majority. If it is accepted by two-thirds of majority, then it goes to the Constitutional Court, which is, as I just mentioned, a much complicated situation. So I don't see President Yoon, unless he surprises us all, that President Yoon is going anywhere very soon.
So the last question, because we're running out of time, does this have any impact on the dynamics in the Indo-Pacific?
I would not immediately see any such ripple impact on stability, security of the Indo-Pacific region. And I'm saying so because I'm assuming that every hour and every day and every week from now will bring back relatively more stability inside Seoul, inside South Korea, and inside the entire region in that sense. And I think normalcy will prevail again. I must salute the protesters, and they fundamentally encouraged the security staff of National Assembly to somehow manage that armed forces are not able to disallow from that emergency session taking place. So it's a very unusual situation where protesters, I think, were driven by their memories of 60s and 70s, by General Park's rule for nearly 20 years, where he used martial law, and martial law was used also by the next leader, President Yoon, after that. So those memories of difficult days of authoritarianism must have been in the memories of protesters who have worked really hard. South Koreans have worked really hard in the last 3 to 4 decades to bring back democracy and make South Korea as an example of robust democracy. And I think protesters are the ones who need to be saluted for ensuring that National Assembly was able to hold its session. Of course, the Speaker, Woo Won-sik, also salutations to him. He managed to not just have the session in order, but constantly communicate the decision of National Assembly with the Defense Ministry and President's office, asking them to revoke martial law and emergency. So a lot of people played a great role in ensuring the democracy is protected, democracy survives. And the difficult hour to me is over. And I think coming times we'll see how normalcy comes back, even in worst case scenario of impeachment leading to removal of President Yoon, which I see is a very little possibility. I see that coming days will see greater stability and peace in South Korea. And therefore, I'm not seeing any major impact for the larger region of Indo-Pacific.
On that, very positive note, I'd like to close this interview. Thank you so very much, sir, for taking time out at such short notice. And I look forward to having you again.
My pleasure. And thank you so much.
Just stay online for a couple of minutes after this. I'll just come back to you, sir. That was Professor Swaran Singh from JNU. He's an authority on Asian politics and dynamics, explaining to us the situation in South Korea and what happens next. I do hope you enjoyed this particular edition of The Gist and look forward to having you again. Till then, this is Ramananda Sen Gupta signing out.